Hey guys, this is Tom from Numbers Game Lifestyle. Today we're going to be talking about why Christian men have the absolute worst game. Now, before you get out the pitchforks and try to skewer me, listen to what I have to say, and I'm sure you'll probably agree in the grand scheme of things. Okay? First, let me just define what I consider game. And what I consider game is behavior that attracts women, and bad game is what I would consider as behavior that repels women. And game is by far the most important aspect of whether or not a woman wants to continue to see you again. Whether that be for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or the rest of your life. Okay, you can maintain women for the rest of your life if you have tight game. It is the ultimate litmus test of your abundance. Okay? And what a lot of guys think is good game is actually terrible game. Okay, a lot of guys think like, do whatever a woman wants, that's good game. It means smooth sailing. It's going to mean a smooth and easy relationship. Absolutely not. In fact, it's the exact opposite. When you do stuff to piss a woman off, it maintains a woman's attraction for you long term. It may cause a little bit of drama, it may cause a little bit of hiccups in the short term, but in the long term, it maintains her sexual attraction towards you till the end of time. With that said, I made a video a couple months ago for Christian men that were looking to pursue the Christian marriages that, their parents probably had. And I went through a list of criteria of like what they should do to make that happen. What my parents did, what my, friends and family did that made their, Christian marriages work. And I have to say, now, 6 months later, that video doesn't apply. Okay, if I could redo that video, I would. Because nowadays, there is no excuse. There's no getting around it. If you do not have tight game, if you do not have some sort of form of abundance, dating abundance, sexual abundance, you are destined to fail. Even if you marry a virgin, even if you move to a small town where there's very little competition, even if you, both go to church on Sundays, even if you were her first, you got married very young and you impregnated her, okay? And you had a good marriage, you did everything right to ensure that the probability of your marriage lasts long term. Okay, that doesn't work anymore. Okay, you cannot go into any kind of long-term relationship with zero experience. Okay, so let me just go into the conclusions that I've come to. Recently, I've had the relationships that I looked at as that is the Christian ideal. They got married super young. They're both Christians. She was a virgin. No partners before her. And, did everything right. Had kids early. Went to church. Both devout Christians. And coming to look at it now, the marriage and marriages that I was looking at as examples of successful Christian marriages were actually terrible. Okay, they were like on the rocks. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that was, not something you want to go through. And, divorce and separation is imminent at this point in these relationships that I looked at as, this is how it's supposed to be done. In this day and age, like, it can be done. And I have to say, no, it cannot be done. If you do not have tight game as a man going into a long-term relationship, whether it be a relationship or a marriage, you are pretty much destined to fail. Okay, I've seen it played over and over again now. And why is that the case? Because we are no longer living in the times of our parents, okay? Back in the day, your dad could get by keeping his wife till the death do them part with very little game. He didn't require any type of game or experience before getting married. Now it is absolutely mandatory because the dating market has opened up, options have opened up, divorce has become more acceptable. There's a ton of factors that go into this. But you cannot go into these marriages without any experience anymore and just figure, oh, I'll just play, Marry a traditional girl, marry a virgin, everything will be good, no problems here. No, I've seen it now. Looking back, I've seen it collapse, just like all the other secular marriages, just like every other marriage. Okay, and why is that? Because the guys go in with no experience, and that is why Christian men fail so drastically. Do you know how common it is for Christian men to be addicted to porn? Because they're not getting any from their wives. Why else would they do that? And why aren't they getting anything from their wives? It could be a number of things, but the biggest ones will be bad in bed. Again, these guys have very little experience, not very much sexual experience, not very much dating experience, not very much relationship experience. They have no idea how to maintain sexual attraction long term in relationships. So, of course, their sexual attraction from their wives is going to go down dramatically, coupled with the fact that they have very little know-how on how to actually please women in bed. The odds of them actually blowing their socks off of their wives, in bed, is very low. So, of course, you're going to have these women saying, sex isn't that important. What's the big deal about all this sex stuff? Because the guy doesn't do a very good job bringing all of that sexual passion out of their wives, because they go in restricting it so much. They have to pretend that they're little angels. That's the problem with the whole Christian church. We've put so much man-made rules around sex. Both men and women go into these marriages completely repressed, scared of expressing themselves sexually. Creates a ton of problems. And also because they have so little sexual and relationship experience, even the men have very little experience doing this. They have no idea of maintaining long-term attraction, because they get so needy. This is their one and only. This is the one that God specifically found for him. She is his soulmate. If this one doesn't work out, nothing else will happen. He is completely ruined. There's nothing biblical about that statement. That's the way we're taught. Oh, God found you a woman, and this is the one for you. This is the one and only. So if things don't work out for her, you're screwed. You're completely doomed. Total recipe for disaster, which is another reason why Christian men's game is so terrible. Why they're addicted to prawn and watching other people get intimate with each other. And of course, the intimacy with their wives is going to be bad, because all the experience that they have, they've seen on the computer screens, watching prawn on TV, watching prawn on the internet. So of course they have this skewed mindset of what intimacy is supposed to look like. Complete nonsense. It's just setting these men up for failure. And I've seen it played out over and over now. The relationships that I looked at, that is the one. That is how it's done. They were completely farces. Okay, when you look behind the scenes, suddenly you'll find they're separated now. Oh, okay, that came out of the blue. Probably not out of the blue. Behind the scenes, you don't see what's going on. You don't see the problems, the drama, the intimacy, the sex that's not happening. Even the Bible, Paul says you shouldn't be separating yourself from your wives. You should be wanting to be intimate with each other continually, because it's the glue of the relationship. Paul specifically says, do not separate yourselves for too long, because it invites temptation. That is exactly what's happening now. Wives are pulling away from their husbands because they're so clingy, so needy, so bad in bed, that it's common now. That's why the men have to resort to porn, and getting their rocks off that way. It's complete nonsense. So my advice to Christian men out there, we are not living in your parents' times anymore. You cannot go into any long-term relationship without experience and expect to succeed. You may last a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Sooner or later, she's going to get tired of your needy, clingy ass and look for someone better. She'll take half your shit as well. Okay, and possibly your kids as well. Okay, so there's no getting around this. You cannot skirt this issue. This should be something mandatory for every man to accomplish. He needs to have some form of abundance going into long-term relationships, or he will be walked all over. The woman will lose attraction for him, no longer want to sleep with him. It just goes on and on. And of course, that glue that keeps people together just vanishes. Okay, it just gets worn out, and the woman's just like, I do not want to sleep with this guy again. And she looks for someone better. She looks for a better option. That's what happens time and time again. So no, if you think that like you can be like a Christian guy, and not date around, you'll find the one, and you're gonna live happily ever after. You're gonna get married, you're gonna have kids, you're gonna be a clingy little scarcity mindset guy in your relationships, and you think and hope it's gonna last. It will not, okay? Those days are done and dusted. Your dad could probably get away with that because your mom's options were very limited. They're no longer limited anymore. Women look on like internet. They see like other people divorcing. They see people like moving on with their lives, and they see like, things could be better. And of course, it's debatable whether that's a good thing or bad thing. It largely depends on the man though. How well you can handle relationships, how well you deal with drama. Do you have a backbone? Do you have abundance? You should have enough abundance so that if your wife ever said to you, look, I think we're growing apart. I really want a divorce. And you didn't freak out. You didn't do anything. You just said, oh, that's a little weird. But yeah, bring me the papers. I'll sign them. It's kind of out of the blue. Not what I was expecting, but yeah, give me the papers. I'll sign them. We'll make this thing final, and I'll move on with my life. Okay, if you could honestly say that, the chances of you actually being divorced are very, very low. But that's not the majority of men. The minute a woman makes any kind of attempt to, cut ties with her husband, he's going to start freaking out. He's going to be like, what can I do? Let's go to marriage counseling. How do I fix this? I'll stop drinking on the weekends. I'll do this, I'll do that. I'll work more. I'll do whatever it takes. And that's the exact thing that continues to push her man away. Like, okay, this guy is low value, low status. I can do much better than this guy. If he had enough abundance to simply say, oh, you want a divorce? Okay, like it's going to be difficult, but I'm happy to do it. I can move on with my life. Let's get this over with as fast as possible so I can move on with my life. Okay? Suddenly she's going to go, oh, maybe let me rethink this whole process. I'll have a think about it, and maybe this isn't such a good idea. You instill that like, oh shit, maybe I made a bad choice on this because you could handle it. You had no problems with her divorcing your ass. You're like, okay, no problem with me. I don't want to be with a woman that doesn't want to be with me. So if you want a divorce, bring me the papers. I'll sign them. Let's get this done and dusted so I can move on with my life. But no guy ever does that. The husbands that women divorce are the guys that get super clingy and start panicking. Like, what will I do? I'll do anything. I'll keep this marriage together forever. Like, what do I have to do to keep us together? Completely the wrong thing. That is what I mean by good game is often doing the opposite of what women would consider a good thing. Okay, you instead of being like all clingy and fighting for the relationship, you just turn your back and think, okay, sounds good to me. Like, let's get these papers signed. And that is what causes attraction. That is what causes a woman to be like, oh shit, maybe I made a bad decision here. Maybe he isn't low status. Maybe I couldn't do better than this guy because, he's fine leaving me. That's kind of a difficult thing to walk away from. Okay? Anyways, guys, that's the video. If you need help doing this, whether it be Christian guys, non-Christian guys, if you want to get into long-term relationships or marriages and make them last for as long as you want them to, you need abundance. You need dating abundance. You need relationship abundance to the point where you're okay with women leaving and you're not even shaken by it. You're like, okay, no problem. I'm ready to move on with my life, find someone new. That's it. When you can honestly say that and honestly believe that, you are ready for a long-term relationship. And that is exactly what I help guys do. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thank you for watching.